Hello, my name is George from Your Skipton, and thank you to the Skipton Beard. We've got another episode of the Skipton Scene. And I'm excited about this one because throughout all the episodes, we've been joined by loads of great local businesses. Some who have been in Skipton for a while, some new ones as well. And I've been excited to get you in, John. John from Pixel Games.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah.
Have you done anything like this before?
I have not. No.
Well,
no,
listen. Thank you for coming in. We saw Pixel Games when you guys set up,
yeah.
And the response has been amazing. Just first of all, for anyone that hasn't seen it, tell me a little bit about Pixel Games and how it came about in Skipton.
Sure. So we opened on the 1st of April this year, which everybody thought was a joke because it was April Fool's Day. But
of course, yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't. It was a long time in the coming. It was a process that I started the summer, the year before, sort of thing. I got to a point where obviously I'm a huge fan. You know, I've collected over the years and one thing and another, and I was at that stage where this was always a pipe dream. I thought it would never happen, but how cool would it be if you owned your own gaming shop, sort of thing. And then the opportunity, you know, work-wise, I thought, well, possibly it could be now, sort of thing, because of where I was with one thing and another. And I just thought, you know what, let's have a look. Let's see if we can do it. So I did my business plan and I got going. And I thought to myself, if I struggle or if the hurdles are going to be too far, and then I'll just knock it on the head. But at least I've had a look. And it just kept going. It was just getting more and more momentum, and I decided this could happen. So I started scouting around, and I found a premises. And originally, I was just going to do the shop, which is something that I was always interested in. When this premises came up, it was a 2-tiered shop, and upstairs was done very nicely, nicely finished and decorated. And I thought, I need to do something with that space. I didn't fancy a 2-tiered shop, so that's when the idea of the gaming lounge came. So at the shop, I've got downstairs, which is full of consoles and games, retro to modern, so from Atari 2600 through to PS5s, everything in between consoles and games. And upstairs, I've done a retro gaming lounge where I've set up there's 7 at the minute retro games consoles up there. With a big choice of games, some of the old CRT TVs, some of the light gun games for Time Crisis and things like that, which you need the CRT TVs for them to work. But yeah, it's just a good. I wanted to do something different from your normal arcade sort of scene. So I've made like a cozier lounge environment, like how it used to be in the 90s with the little mood lamps and big tellies and big bulky controllers and what have you, and it's going really well. It's I mean the shop is absolutely, you know, buzzing. There's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of people coming. A lot of people come from quite a long way away to come and get, you know, find some like niche collectors pieces. The lounge itself is going at a slower pace, but I'm very happy with you know, the way it is going. Is weekends are particularly busy. School holidays are really busy. You know, there's a lot of kids after school that come in. There's a lot of parents bringing the kids in, which is great. You know, so like, you know, my sort of generation showing their kids how it used to be, and it just, yeah, everyone seems to really enjoy it. So it's just something a little bit different, and it's going all right.
The response has been really good. You mentioned you've had loads of comments, people come from a long way away. When I was doing a bit of research on you and the new shop, that's one of the things that stands out a lot. The response has been brilliant. What is the inspiration for it? You mentioned trying to make that lounge a little bit like kind of the old setup. Is it a nostalgia project for you?
Absolutely, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I thought for long enough I was like one of the only geeks in the country or the county or whatever who was into this sort of stuff, and like. I used to go to a couple of like large trade shows, which, you know, are national, run by Replay Events, and they have them in, you know, Sheffield, Bolton, Leeds, well, up and down the country, but I only go to the local ones, sort of thing. And when I went to my first one of those a couple of years ago, I went to the Royal Armouries in Leeds, and then I went to the Bolton one, which is in Bolton Football Club's, you know, one of the rooms there, sort of thing, and they were massive. And I don't particularly get overwhelmed in crowds, but I was like, wow. And then I realised, it's not just me. It's not just me that does this. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And, you know, maybe I should, you know, maybe there is something to do here, sort of thing. Like, I love going to, you know, retro video game shops. Wherever I go, you know, if up and down the country, if for whatever reason, I'll Google, you know, retro video game shops near me, and I'll go into one, sort of thing. And that's what I thought. Well, there isn't one in this area, and like I was just saying, it's like everything just started falling into place, like naturally and quite easily about how and where and when and sort of thing. So then when it got around to designing my own, I thought, well, let's just, you know, bring back the memories that, you know, I remembered from, you know, as a child, and just some of the posters and the images and the way the lounge is set up and things like that. And shop downstairs, lounge upstairs. And I mean, I started my Facebook page a couple of weeks before the shop opened, and I was just watching it just go. And as soon as the gaming community got hold of it, they were just click, like, share, and like before I'd opened the doors, I had about 500 followers, sort of thing.
Is there quite a community then? Is this quite across the country? Because one of the things I should admit at the start of this conversation, and we chatted about it before we started recording, is that I'm quite naive about this whole world. Never really got into gaming. The retro gaming or modern gaming as well, just never really got into it. I'm not sure why. I guess it wasn't something. My parents never got me a big gaming console, and I've loved seeing in shopping centres now more and more popping up. There are retro gaming lounges, and even retro gaming bars and things, and they can be brilliant fun.
Absolutely.
And I've always seen it as a big social activity, but never got into it. But there is quite a community out there, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Very big community, bigger than I realised until, like I say, I went to my first event. And I just saw thousands of people everywhere, just exchanging games, and it was just like huge. And since I've been open, literally just earlier today, I had a phone call, a bit of a convoluted story, but from another store to say there's a collector outside your store. He thought you were open today, and you're not. And I said, well, I'm in Skipton. I'll go and open up. Amazing. And I've just opened up for a collector who's on his journey to collect every single Xbox 360 game, and he's got 37 to find, and he found one of his 37 in my shop half an hour ago. And he's
so he's collecting all the Xbox. How many Xbox 360 games are there?
Over 1,000.
Goodness me! I mean, I'm thinking going back to the time of the Xbox Connect and all those. That was wow, amazing.
So there's collectors out there who collect everything and anything gaming related, and they travel a long way. I used to, I'd travel like. The nearest ones that I would go to is best one is Lee's Games in Morecambe. Mm-hmm. Big fan of that. Great shop, great guy who runs it, Andy. Good mate. I would travel to Morecambe, no problems.
Wow.
Or Sheffield or York, to go to some of the other sort of thing. And that's what people are doing now. They're travelling. So it's not just the local community, which have also, by the way, really embraced it. The amount of people that have come in and said, thank you for doing this. We needed this. I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect any of that. Like, I've been thanked for opening the shop, really good to see something like this. We've not had a game shop for ages, really, really nice, positive comments.
It's what we've seen all over socials as well, on your Facebook page, loads of comments like that. Are you from Skipton originally then?
I am, yes, originally from Skipton, yeah.
Wow.
I always seem to have it flipped around a little bit too. I live in Lancashire at the minute.
It's all right. You're allowed to admit that.
Just about over the border.
Yeah.
So not too far away. But I tend to live in Skipton most of my life and work in Lancashire, and then I moved to Lancashire.
Swapped it around.
So it's like, why can't I get that bit right? So, but yeah, born and bred in Skipton. I lived here most of my life up until fairly recently when we moved over the border.
And did you feel when you were wanted to set up this Pixel Games thing? It sounds like it's a project you've had the idea of wanting to do for ages, but did you think Skipton was going to be the right place for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, this is where I call my home. All my friends are here. All my family, all my partner's family are here. And to be honest with you, we're looking at moving back as soon as we can, sort of thing. It's just we just want to be here. But yeah, my shop was always going to be here. Yeah. I like Skipton. I've grown up here. I remember all the different shops for the last 30 odd years. From the high street, Black Horse, which is just up there, the indoor market. Used to go down the ramp to the indoor market, and I remember my grandma taking me down there. So.
Do you think much has changed then since you grew up here?
I mean, the shops have obviously, a lot of the shops have changed. I can't think of too many off the top of my head that were there that I can remember from, when I was very little, sort of thing. But, the high street itself, it still looks exactly the same about the different shop names and things like that. But
and it's still sort of busy and thriving. And I think people are delighted to have something like Pixel Games now to add a bit of a different, something a bit different. There's nothing like that in Skipton at the moment.
I mean, it's a challenge. Opening up a shop in the current climate, it was like, I had people like, oh, you're mad, sort of thing. And yeah, maybe I am. I don't know. But,
seems to be going pretty well so far, yeah.
So far, so good, touch wood. But, if there was anywhere that could make it work, it would be Skipton because as much as high streets are unfortunately struggling, I'm sure Skipton is to a degree sort of thing, but I think there's enough people, community, tourism to keep the Skipton High Street going.
Amazing. Well, John, listen, a lot to chat about, and we've got lots of little features we're going to play through the rest of the show. We're going to have a look at this game board that you've brought in, and we've got the biz quiz coming up as well. The first thing we do is a little feature called Skip to the Good Bit, right? And this is where we've already had a good chat about it, but we get to know just a little bit more about you with 5 quick fire questions, a little bit about you and your business. So yes, this is Skip to the Good Bit, and so I've got 5 little quick questions for you about Skipton, about your business. Just going to quick fire, answer nice and quickly. So first question, and I'm delighted to hear you grew up in Skipton. What is your favourite place in Skipton other than Pixel Games?
Right, quick fires. It'd be the Woolly Sheep pub.
Nice. In fact, I think that's been answered before. I think Matthew from Yorkie said the Woolly Sheep,
really?
didn't he? Yeah. He likes it in there. All right, question 2. And we're going to chat about this in more detail later, but social media or no screens?
Interesting, especially with what's on the news today, sort of thing. But no, social media, as long as it's managed properly.
And I suppose for you, the no screens thing is going to be difficult with video
I'm
games.
never going to say no screens.
No, of course. And we're going to have a little chat about your relationship with social media in a bit. We've got a tradition and a question for you from a different local business, which we'll get to later, which will bring up a little bit more of that discussion. Question 3, what's the favourite part of your job?
To be honest with you, the people that bring things that they want to sell. Because I get to see, I know what's in my shop, and there is thousands and thousands of different games and consoles and everything out there. When I see somebody coming in with a carrier bag to say, are you interested in buying this? I'm like, absolutely. I don't know what's in there, but yep. And then I can't wait to just get it out of the
barn find, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And then it's like, because I have a collector's mentality, because I've been collecting for years, and I just love it. I love being surrounded by it, talking about it, playing with it. Not knowing what's coming through the door and then seeing some gems that they pull out. So it's like, absolutely.
Amazing. And people travel from a long way to make those swaps and trades.
Definitely, people have been coming. People are saying, I've taken a 2-hour bus drive to get here, ride to get here today and things like that. And so I've had people coming for quite a long way to my shop. Somebody has messaged me in Hull the other day wanting to sell his collection to me. I was like, absolutely, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you must be building a brilliant reputation in that community. Well, we'll chat a little bit more about the trading element of it, because I think that's sort of one part of your business that I haven't really dived into yet. Question 4, and I think I might know the answer to this now after we chatted before, but retro systems or modern gaming?
Retro, 100% retro systems. All the way.
And that's what Pixel Games is built around, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely.
Your lounge
that's where the heart of Pixel Games is with retro stuff. Now, I do sell everything through to the latest PlayStations and Xboxes and all the rest of it and everything, but for me, definitely my favourite is retro. Plug and play. Put the cartridge in, turn it on, you're into Super Mario within seconds.
Is that the beauty of it, do you think? Almost that simplicity now, I suppose.
I was going to say, and the simplicity, absolutely. You've got 3 buttons, jump, throw, run, it's just great.
Amazing. Well, we'll get the Game Boy out on that note in a moment. But question 5, just finally, other than Pixel Games, and this might be difficult given you know Skipton quite well, but do you have a favourite local business in Skipton? Other than, I suppose, the Woolly Sheep that we mentioned.
Favourite local business in Skipton? I really, I'll probably say Nightshade. I really admire what Fred and Lily have done there, and
and they're quite new as well, aren't they?
They are, and it's good to see them, succeeding. And again, bringing this, I know there's other bars and things, but they've got a very different sort of slant on there with the cocktails, and they've made it look absolutely stunning in there.
Something a bit new to the nightlife scene.
Absolutely, and that's what just a little bit different from the norm. That's what I'm trying to do, and that's what they've done. So
amazing. Well, a little bit of a shout out for Nightshade.
Absolutely,
hopefully they'll see it. So one of the things I want to chat about then, coming out of that, is that focus on retro gaming. Can we have a look at this Game Boy that you
Absolutely,
brought? Tell me a little bit about it. I know this is something you're passionate about, and I did used to have a Game Boy. And goodness knows where it is now, John. If I find it, I'll bring it to you. But tell me a little bit about this system.
So this is what really started it all for me. So I've been collecting for many years. My dad bought me this when I was 10, 11 years old in a shop in Birmingham. I remember the shop now. I remember the layout of the shop, everything. It was really, kind of strange. But receiving that was just what has led to Pixel Games today. It started my collection journey.
And this is the actual one.
This is the actual one, and that's the condition of the box there. So that that box is quite old, nearly 40 years old now, that box, and that's the condition that I've kept it in.
Amazing.
But that inside there is my original Game Boy, and at the time I was blown away, just thinking, just the ability to put this little piece of plastic in the back.
Are you happy to get it out and show us a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah, let's do it.
Go for it.
I don't think there's any battery, so I can't make it.
No,
work,
that's
but
all right. That's all right. You can
this
show
is
us.
my original Game Boy, which is quite sought after. I mean, people are asking me all the time, "Have you got any Game Boys?" And I do. This one's not for sale. I don't. That's one thing out of my own personal collection
Yes,
that
of course.
I just won't sell because, like I said, that's just started it all. So all the paperwork that came with it and the receipts and everything. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That little Game Boy there. That's it. And these cartridges in the back that you could just literally just slide them out, put a different game in.
And you were saying before that was one of the exciting things when this came out.
It's just unbelievable.
We said before, what was this, 1990?
Yeah, it was released in late 90 over here, slightly earlier in Japan. It would have been 91 when I got this, in 1991, so that's when I got it. And that's just like, but personally, there was things before that. I didn't have anything particularly sort of like game related before that. And yeah, I just took this everywhere with me. It was light, it's portable in your pocket, and then I just had.
And what was new about
so
this
many.
when this came out? Was Game Boy quite revolutionary? Was it first of its kind or not?
The Game Boy itself was. Nintendo were doing other products before that, but none that you could change the cartridge on. So this is what really changed. This is what made Game Boy blow up huge, was the fact that no longer you could get similar devices like this with the original Donkey Kongs or Marios on them, but it was just on off and you couldn't change the game.
I see.
When this came along and you could just have an endless supply of different games, action, adventure, shooting, and you could just change it whenever you wanted to change it, but it was the same machine.
Which is, of course, what we're used to now. And now people don't even have discs. They just download games. But we're used to being able to have one console with lots of things. And amazing. That's exciting. And then, so going back from there then, what's your relationship with retro gaming now? Do you still go back to Game Boy? Is this still your favourite? Or what was the journey from, from when you first got this to now?
Yeah. This would always have to be one of my favourites, just because it was everything that started it all and how much I loved it as a child, sort of thing. Now, don't get me wrong, up until last year, I hadn't even turned that on for about 20 odd years, sort of thing. And when I did turn it on, because I wish I had batteries to show you, but probably wouldn't come up on the cameras anyway, but this was like a black and white screen sort of thing. And it's not backlit either.
Oh,
so you used to have you could get like a little light to stick over the top or play it like this against the light. You could really not see it. And I did put it back on the other day and I thought, that is a little bit more difficult than I remembered to see the screen. But that is how it was. And you didn't know any different back then. And that's the thing. You managed. In the back of the car, there's always a little light up there. You're playing it sort of thing.
Amazing.
You managed absolutely fine. After that, I got my first home console was the Sega Mega Drive. So bit of a jump because I had a Nintendo Sega back in the day, the battle of the console wars sort of thing. But I went from Game Boy to a Mega Drive, which was plug it in on the telly with the gamepads. Similar concept, put your cartridges in and play whatever different games you want. A lot of my friends were on the other side, the Nintendo side, and they had the Super Nintendo. And
was that also a console, or was that another handheld?
Those were the two original consoles in the battle of the consoles. Sega and Nintendo going at it, sort of thing, trying to provide the best console with the best games and one thing and another. And you were either on one side or the other, sort of thing. Yeah. I don't know.
People have it now, I suppose, with Xbox and PlayStation.
Well, absolutely. You do hear it now. Like in the shop, I've got like one side is PlayStation, one side is Xbox, sort of thing. And like people which aisle they walk up, and which side
what they've got.
Absolutely. But that started the journey, then onto the Mega Drive, and then, to be honest with you, in terms of actual owning machines and, life gets in the way, you become an adult, children, there's responsibilities and things like that, so it all, it slows down a little bit. So I in the later generations, I was always PlayStation over Xbox, no particular reason, that's just the side I fell on, and had the PS1, 2, 3 and 4. I don't own a 5, and I never have. I will. I want to. But so it slowed down a little bit when other things got,
other things get in the way, I suppose. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But it's nice to. It's nice to have that passion for something that you can always go back to, and you've got this whole journey of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm discovering things all the time. Like I said, I have nothing against Xbox in the slightest. Genuinely nothing. It was just you don't have both. Mm-hmm. I test every console thoroughly in the shop, obviously, to make sure it works, all the buttons work, and things like that. And so when the Xbox came into the day, I reached out for a game, and it was Halo. And it was quite.
Yes,
of
course.
You've probably heard of it. I know you said you're not into gaming. But
yes,
Halo's
I have played Halo. I have.
And what should have been like a 5 to 10 minute thorough testing of all the buttons and everything was 3 hours because wow, what a game. And I was like, okay, great.
So you still have that passion for it, you still get...
a huge passion for it, and a lot of things that I don't know and I've missed because you can't have everything, you know.
No.
So, but yeah, I was very impressed.
Let's chat about that way of consoles coming in then. So tell me a little bit about that trading side of your business. So you get people coming in, of course, to buy, but you said one of the things you love is getting people coming in with all sorts of their own gear that you will then sell.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so anything, you know, like people can bring in modern machines. People can bring in a game that they bought a couple of weeks ago and they've finished it. And you know, it could be a PlayStation or an Xbox game, you know, that's the latest stuff, and they're finished with it, and they just had enough, and they'll either sell it to me or trade it for me at a higher price, which means they can take something from the, you know, from the store if they trade rather than the cash price.
Right.
But a lot of the times it's the old stuff that I like, and it's people who have like, I've had these in the loft for years, they're no good to me anymore. You know, they were the kids, they've all left, they don't want them anymore. You know, will you buy them? Yes, I will, sort of thing. Absolutely, no problems. Because there's people out there who want them. Everybody leaves happy. We sort a price out that they're happy with. Obviously, I need to make a little bit of money on it, but I know it'll be going to a good home, and that's what they're happy. You know, that their stuff that hasn't been touched for 20 years is now going to a good home, and it generally do go to good homes because these are really sought after items. You know, they haven't made these for 30 years, but you know, people want them. I've sold 3 or 4 Game Boys this week, you know, in the shop. People want them.
Wow.
And interestingly, you know, youngsters really want the old stuff, which I wasn't prepared. You know, I didn't expect that to happen. One of my first customers, really nice kid, came in with his family. I was like, I would like a Super Nintendo, you know, and I was like, that can't be right. And he looked at his dad. He goes, no, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he wants, sort of thing. So I got one out and showed it to him. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. This is definitely what I want. And have you got this game? And have you got that? And have you got he knew how to connect it. Have you got the cable to connect? He knew everything. He'd researched it, and he'd made this decision. And his dad, absolutely, you know, this is what he wants, sort of thing. And he left very happy with his equipment. But it's good seeing that the kids are really after this. I mean, I've sold more Game Boys, 2 in the last couple of days, to, you know, teenagers, you know, who were wanting them, you know, sort of thing. So I think it's great. I think it's a really, it must be a really cool thing to see. And I suppose as we grow up, we'll find out what the next retro thing is going to be. But also, are these retro games, were they better sort of quality, I suppose? Do you see the same thing happening in the next generation? Well, were these actually quite special? Well, in terms of like quality and things like that, these are almost infinitely repairable. Yeah, because they're just
built to last.
Absolutely, but there's no, you know, none of this latest stuff that they put into these, you know, later PlayStations and Xboxes where it makes them overheat. And yeah, you can change all that, you can do all that, but I do some repairs in store myself. So the first Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System, was quite notorious for failing on the pin connector on the board. After many years, it wasn't a fault of the issue, but the pins just basically wear out when the cartridge slots into it. But it's the easiest repair you can do because it's not even soldered on. It is literally friction onto the board. So every one I get, no matter if it works or not, unless I can tell it's had a new one, because the cartridge, it will there's quite a lot of friction sort of thing, but most times the cartridge just almost fall in and out, so I'll just change the pin connector. Takes me about 10 minutes, and you can still buy a replacement pin connector. So strip it down, open it up, put a new pin connector on, put it all back together, and it feels as good as new, and it'll last another good 40 years, sort of thing. Dead easy to fix. These later ones, I'm not going to lie, I don't know how to fix them, but I've got a repair guy that they all go out to. So I
think it's a shame almost, isn't it? We won't necessarily have that same retro experience in another generation's time that we do. I think it's similar with, you know, old cars. You go to old car shows and you see these beautiful cars from the 50s, 60s, 40s even. I can't imagine in 50 years' time we're gonna go to a field and look at an old, you know, 2010 Ford Fiesta. It's not going to be the same, is it?
It's not, is it? But you don't know. We don't know. It could do. I mean, like, the kids of today in 20, 30 years' time, you know, who knows where we'll be? I mean, they're doing virtual reality now and everything, which is very impressive. But I mean,
I suppose they might look back at an Xbox One as a retro item, mightn't they?
Because maybe it's a physical object, and maybe that whatever there's going to be in 30 years' time, what is a physical object? Maybe it's all built into your glasses or whatever it's going to be, and at which point then maybe a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One, with it being a physical box, it might be like, whoa, and you actually had a huge piece of plastic in your lounge, sort of thing. So
gosh,
maybe.
I suppose so. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that. What's the coolest item you've ever had come into your shop? Have you ever had something come in where you've thought, wow, I never thought I'd see one of those or something like that in such a condition?
I mean, nothing that really, blows you away sort of thing, but like I've got two in mind. I had a Game Boy Micro. That was the first DMG one, it's called, the original Game Boy. And there's been many other different versions of the Game Boy since, the Colour, the Pocket, so on and so forth. But in 2005, they launched the Game Boy Micro, which is tiny. It's probably just the size of that there.
Oh, wow. Almost like a keyring Game Boy.
It was pretty much something like you get on a keyring, but it actually took physical cartridges as well. And the screen was actually very impressive on it. It's done a lot of work on making a really nice colour screen. But it wasn't very successful at the time.
Right.
And they pulled the plug on in 2007, I think it was. And so there wasn't many made and wasn't many sold. But I got one in the shop the other day and I fixed it all up, put a new battery in it, reconditioned it and everything. And I was actually playing it and I was like, this is really quite cool. And it didn't last long at all in the shop because there's a demand for things that, people actually are seeking things that were almost a flop at the time or didn't do very well.
Yeah.
So my second example I was going to mention is the Mega CD. It was a bit of a flop at the time, and they were really notorious for breaking down, reliability, and one thing and another. So again, but now they're very desirable, quite expensive. And I got one in the shop the other day, and now it was broken. But I'd buy broken things because I know I can fix them. Sort of thing. If I can't, I know somebody who can. So that's new capacitors, new fuses, new PSU ports. I physically clean it all up. It comes in the original box as well, so that's really nice because like seeing the stuff in the original boxes, you see these all the time, sort of thing. But seeing them in original boxes, not so much. So I've got a Mega CD on the shelf at the minute, but I've kind of tucked it away behind everything for two reasons.
I want to hang on to it.
For two reasons. I like it. It's cool. I wanted one as a kid, and it was always a no because they're really expensive and one thing and another. So now I own one.
Yeah.
But it'll sit there. A few people go like, oh my goodness, is that a Mega CD too? And I was like, yeah. And if they want to know about it, I'll tell them about it. I've not even there is a price on it, but I don't display it because I want somebody to see that for what it is, and there are collectors out there, and it will find a good home to the person who wants to talk to me first about it, who's in the market for one.
And is that something you really like when people come in and they understand it to a certain extent? And there will be people listening who hear you mention these things. Oh yeah, I remember when that came out. I remember that story.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a fun part of the job.
I love talking to people about it, especially when they know what they want and think that if I don't have it, then at the end of it. But if I do, I'll talk to them to the nth degree about what it is, and because they're all in different conditions, working, not working. Obviously, we tried to get everything working and things, but there's. I do a lot of work to make it all right and everything, and I have really good examples of what I have in the shop are really good examples because I do a lot of the physical cleaning and fixing and everything, and it all works. But like when people come in and want to talk to me about it, like I had one of the original PS3s in the store, so they're quite a collectible item because the original, the launch edition PlayStation 3, the 60 gig one was backwards compatible, which means it plays all of PS1, PS2 and PS3 games.
Oh, nice.
It was the only one that they did. It was very expensive at the time, and there was quite a fuss about how expensive it was, and Sony ended up taking out a lot of the components and making cheaper versions, which only played PS3. But now, because, they're rare, it goes up in value. So I had one on my shelf, and again, it was just sat there, it was priced, and some people like, is that how much PS3s are now? And so they're like, no, not that one, sort of, and I explained the story. But then you get others coming in like, oh my goodness, is that one of the original backward compatible PS3? I was like, yeah, and they're like, oh wow, and then we get into the big conversation about it.
Oh, it's great, and it's great to have someone on like you who is so passionate about it. And it leads me on to my next question, really, which is you've managed to make that your job and something that you enjoy, but we have a section now called Nice Advice, and this is where there will be plenty of people who have an idea like that, they have a passion, and they want to turn it into a business, possibly a local business, maybe even here in Skipton. What advice would you have for someone trying to do something similar to what you've done, and maybe just trying to set up a local business, whether they're right at the start of the idea or trying to run through it, and what's been some of the hardest aspects of it for you?
Yeah, okay. So research. Do your research and a really solid business plan. It might sound a little bit boring, but you have to make sure it's going to work, sort of thing. So I spent a lot of time. Once I'd realised how big the market was, and I wasn't the only little geek running around collecting computer games, look at where other shops are in the area, who are your competitors, what makes you better or worse, and just be brutally honest. You know, you don't have to go and shout it out, sort of thing. But like, you know, I put a list of shops, retro video game shops. You know, one belongs to a very good friend of mine. But in my head, I was like, what would make mine better? Why is it worse than his, sort of thing? So do your research, do a business plan, make sure that you've got the right sort of people who can come. Obviously, financially, it's going to work for you.
What were some of those things? What were some of the things that you had to be brutal to yourself about when you were setting up Pixel Games? Were there some tricky areas?
Well, that was more to do with the critique of competitors, you know,
right.
where they fail and where you could do it better, sort of things. It's good to have in mind what your end goal looks like, what your shop or business will look like, who is it going to appeal to, sort of thing. So find a way to have a point where, you know, you can say mine will be better because.
So are there things that you've done differently, do you think?
There is, and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong about the way that I've done it, but I have, you know, through all of the different shops that I've been to in the retro world, sort of thing, I've made mental notes of how I would do it differently, and I believe it's working so far, sort of thing. It's not to say that they're doing it wrong, but I've done. There's a few little bits I've done differently. I'll give you an example just so you know what I'm saying. But like I don't want it to come across like I am outwardly critiquing other shops.
Yeah.
But especially in my industry, a lot of the shops that I've been into are deliberately made to look like jumble sales, really. People love to rummage. People love to rummage through cabinets and things like that, you know. I'm
that search element to it, I suppose.
There is, and I do like that, genuinely, but I've gone for a very like clean, fresh sort of look. Everything's you know, in alphabetical order. I think that's more to do with just, you know, the way I am, sort of thing, like clean and tidy and one thing. Now, I do have, you know, retro cabinets which have got things stacked on each other, and people would like to go, you know, move around and look, because people like to hunt, you know. They don't want to just walk in and go, there it is, you know. People
that's
like
why people come into the high street, isn't it? You know, you could Google all these things, but
that was one thing that I did slightly different to some of the other shops in my field, was to present it slightly differently. And again, it's early days, but I think it's going. I think that was a good decision.
Now we're going to move on to the little competitive bit of this show.
Okay.
We're going to move on to the biz quiz. You can see this leaderboard behind me. So, John, are you a competitive person in general? Do you get competitive in your gaming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Are you competitive outside of that as well?
Yeah, I've got a competitive nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And have you seen any of these before? What we're going to do is we've got 5 questions for you.
Yeah.
Some of them are about Skipton, the Yorkshire area. Yeah. Some of them are about your area of expertise. And in this case, this was one of the first times where I knew very, very little. So I've had to do the research on this, and I'm hoping I've got the answers right. But I've done my research. So, are you feeling confident?
Nope.
We've got currently Yorkies are the only business to have got 5 out of 5. We've got a couple on 3, Kit Vault and Skipton Hotel on 2. Where have you got a prediction where you think you might end up? What would you be happy with?
I'd be happy with 2, to be honest.
Okay. all right. Well, let's jump into it. So the first question is a mystery shop front. So I've got a shop front in Skipton. Yeah. I've taken off the name. Yeah. I want to see if you can name the business.
Okay.
Here it is. And for those listening, you can see it on the screen as well. Do you know what business that is?
I think it's Calico Jacks.
Correct. It's Calico Jacks. Well done. Which I think is one of the most interesting looking businesses in Skipton, because it's basically a sort of pirate shack bar in the middle of Skipton on Water Street. And it's lovely. Have you been in?
I have, and I very much enjoy it.
Have you? Well, I've actually never been. I've never seen it, but it's what sort of things do they do? What would you recommend? It's a restaurant bar, of course.
Yes, it is. It's very good, but it has unfortunately just closed its doors.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh no!
So you might have missed your opportunity.
Oh, I might have missed my opportunity then.
I think.
Oh well.
I think.
Well, you still got the answer right.
I still got the answer
you're 1
right,
for 1.
But it was very, very good. It was a very, very good restaurant.
Oh well. Shame to hear about
It
that.
is.
I should have gone. I should have gone before.
I was gutted when I found out.
Well, question 2 now. You're 100% so far, and this one is we're going back to retro gaming.
All right.
So the Sega Master System, which we mentioned before.
Yep.
I've got here that it was originally remodeled on a version of the Sega Mark III. Is that correct? Or is that not technically right? It's not the question.
Okay.
That's the bit I've got.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what year was the first Sega Master System launched?
The first
Yes.
Sega Master System.
And I'll give you, I think we'll give you the point for 5 years either side. So if you can get
5 years either side.
We'll go 5 years
Oh,
either side.
That's very generous. 86.
That is bang on. That was bang on. Wow. Wow. Yeah, it was 1986, first released in the US and then 87 in Europe.
Right. Okay.
Wow, incredible. Were you confident with that one?
Well, I was confident when you said 5.
Yes.
5 is the way I thought.
Okay.
I'll be all right with that.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have gone to John. Right, you're 2 for 2. Now, what do you reckon is your Yorkshire knowledge is like? This next question is a bit of a Yorkshire question.
Okay. Yeah. Could be
So,
all right.
Yorkshire, I don't know if you knew this, has 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Okay.
One of them is the model village of Saltaire, and the other one is about 45 minutes drive from where we are in Skipton, roughly. Do you know what it is? UNESCO World Heritage Site in Yorkshire. It's a lovely day out for a bit of a walk, nice views, a lot of history.
Is the name that I'm thinking of, and this could be completely wrong anyway, it's gone out of my head, and it's something rocks, but I've forgotten.
Ooh, are you thinking of Brimham Rocks?
That's the one I was thinking
It's
of.
not
No,
Brimham Rocks.
okay,
It's
well,
not Brimham Rocks. Do you want to have one more guess? Brimham Rocks is lovely, actually.
Yeah.
But it's not a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Malham?
It's not Malham. I'm afraid the answer was Fountains Abbey.
Oh, right.
Fountains Abbey in
Yes,
Studley Royal. Yeah, it was
yes.
made a UNESCO World Heritage
Yeah.
Site in 1986.
Okay.
So we're still 2 for 3.
Yeah,
that's all right.
that's
So we're
fine.
still on. We're still on. You could fill this gap for 4 if you can get the next 2 right. Now I'm hoping you're going to get this one, and it rang some faint bells for me, but I think you might get this spot on. Now, what was the slogan? Quite a famous slogan that was used in the marketing of the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Do you remember what the slogan was?
This is going to be one of those that I know it's not going to come, but I know I'll kick myself.
kick
when I hear
yourself.
it. Yeah, I know it's not
You
there.
can picture it. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want me to give you the answer?
You're going to have to, I'm afraid.
If I give you the starting word,
Yeah.
it's now is the starting word. There'll be some people listening who know it, and there'll be some that have never even heard of it.
Yeah, there'll be some of my customers who listen to this who would have answered before you'd finished asking the real question.
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
This is one of those questions.
Have you got a Nintendo Entertainment System in the shop?
I've got a few, yeah.
So you might even have it on a box somewhere.
Probably, yeah.
The answer
Yeah.
is now you're playing with power.
Yeah.
That was the answer.
Yeah.
So not quite, but you won't forget that now.
I won't forget that
You won't
now,
forget it
no,
now.
no.
All right, we're 2 for 4, so we can still fill
Okay.
this gap at 3. You could join
Yeah.
Magpie and Avina.
Yeah.
Now, I actually asked this question to Esme, our producer, on the way over here, and I can't remember. Did you get it right? No. Okay, but I think you might get it right. This was one of the ones where I looked it up and I went, "Oh, of course it was." It is, what's the best-selling video game of all time? There's actually 2 answers that I'll accept here. And I've got a few facts around it, but do you know what the best-selling video game of all time is? It was across multiple consoles. What are your thoughts? Talk me through it. What do you think?
I mean, quite weirdly, a video came up on one of my social media feeds the other day about this, and I was very surprised how it evolved. I think it was a top 25, and I watched the whole thing. It was a top 25 video games of all time.
Well, I hope what I've got down here is correct then.
But there was some strange sort of like not strange, but some recent Minecraft, for example, was so much higher than I thought, because obviously you could say Mario, but you could have really nailed it down to which Mario. I mean, Tetris will have sold a lot. I'm trying to remember that video because I know it surprised me. have to be multiple different platforms.
It was, and it did. I remember I had it. I did have it on the Xbox that I had for a while. I used to play it with friends. It was quite a creative game, and I had it on mobile as well. In fact, I think I still have it on mobile.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't
well,
know.
I will. I'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it already.
Did I?
You've mentioned it already.
Was it Minecraft?
It was Minecraft.
Yeah,
it was
just-
Minecraft. Over 350 million copies
Yeah.
sold of Minecraft. And I think there was GTA were up there. Now, Tetris I would have accepted because Tetris, it's debated, but I think they've sold more, but
Yeah.
over lots of iterations,
Yeah.
lots of different releases. But Minecraft, over 350 million copies. Do
Yeah.
you know, in fact, I could give you a bonus point for this one. Yeah, I'll give you a bonus point if you get this one. We're on 3 out of 5. But
Right.
I've also got here
Yeah.
which game has the record for the most players, because that's not Minecraft. And actually, I didn't think it was in the top few of copies sold, but what game do you think has the most players? Just for a bit of fun, we've finished the quiz.
So that, as in online players?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had maybe Fortnite.
It's not Fortnite, but I remember thinking Fortnite was very, very similar, almost based on it,
Yeah.
I thought. But then, what do I know? It's again something that I've played on mobile, actually, but never on a console.
It wouldn't be Roblox, would it?
No.
That's not creeping
No.
into this. No,
No.
go on, I give up.
It was PUBG.
Yeah,
PUBG. And
yeah.
apparently, by most of the records I can find, PUBG has over 1.1 billion players.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable.
It hit the scenes really, really hard.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about it.
I think it's because it was so successful, wasn't it,
Yeah.
on different consoles, but also it did so well on
Yeah.
mobile and things as well.
Yeah, well, with it being on mobile phones. That's
Yes,
where you can
yeah,
generate
exactly.
a lot of those users from.
Right, John, well, congratulations. We can put you... Oh, what was it? It was 3, wasn't it? Because you got Minecraft.
Yeah.
That was right.
Yeah.
So congratulations,
Oh,
3 out of 5.
I'm happy with that.
Well done. That's all right.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
all right. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, the Nintendo one's annoying, but
Now you're playing with power.
Yeah.
Now you're playing with power. It's a good slogan.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. We do have one final little tradition, and
Okay.
I did want to save a bit of time for this one because we have this visitor book here. And this is where every guest we've got on, we've got them to write a question in here.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily know who's coming on next,
Yeah.
but they leave a question for the next visitor.
Okay.
And last episode, we had Rachel from Avena on. Do you know Avena? They're the shop on Victoria Square, and they sell fragrances, herbal
yes.
medicines,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
a gorgeous gift
Yes,
shop as
yeah,
well.
yes.
And she's left you a question. She didn't know who she was leaving it for, but it was
Okay.
quite pertinent, I think, given some of the success you've had.
Yeah.
It says, as an independent local business, how important do you think it is to have a social media presence, and which social media platform works best for you?
Yeah, well, that is a good question, and absolutely, I think it's important. But I think it depends on the business. Certainly, my business, just 100%, it needs to be. Like I mentioned earlier, I started my Facebook page, and that just lit up. Now, I'm not actually that tech savvy, believe it or not, and that's why I like the older stuff, sort of thing. So I'm still learning how to set up my Instagram page and one
Right.
thing and another. But Facebook worked really, really, really well for me, sort of thing. People ran away with it, sort of thing. Like
Because you do it, or you don't have a website either, do you? It's all
I
done on
don't.
the Facebook.
It
yeah.
is. The web page is being built as we speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for that. We'll keep an eye out for that. You'll have to let us know if it's ready by the time this goes out. We'll put it in the caption.
But yeah, so Facebook's done everything, but like people are running away with it for me, sort of thing, doing videos and sharing it around other groups, sort of thing. TikTok, again, unfortunately not one that I'm too familiar with, but I am getting there with it, sort of thing. There's people coming in and taking videos and sharing them on TikTok and Instagram.
And that's
things
the beauty,
like that.
isn't it?
So-
You can almost get other people on there to do the marketing for you.
yeah, and I feel a bit guilty about that, but I'm
Yeah,
not asking
yeah.
them to do it, and it's working really well, and I'm really, really
Yeah.
grateful for these people who are coming in and sharing the world. But like, that's just how good sort of like my sort of like retro gaming community is, sort of thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
such a really, really friendly place. Everybody, even the other shops, like I've mentioned. We're not competitors, you know, we're friends and we help each other out. I can ring them and say, have you got this, and vice versa, and we send it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, so...
And one of the things you're so good at on the social media is you respond to a lot of the comments, and people
I
can
think
genuinely
that's-
interact and ask you questions.
I
and
think
it's,
that's very important, and a lot of people say, "Oh, thank you for your quick response," things like that. I'm always on hand to help people, sort of thing, and yeah, I'll try and respond to every single comment. If I miss one, I'm sorry,
Amazing.
but I try and go back and get through every message and every comment, and I'm very grateful, because without these people, I wouldn't have a business. So
Yeah.
they're everything, sort of thing for me. So to be hopefully successful and try and provide, what they want.
Amazing. Well, John, the passion shines through, and it's brilliant to have had this conversation with you. Heard a little bit about the business, and it seems to be going so well. You've got such a great engagement in Skipton. So many people are loving what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on. Just
Thanks for
remind
having
us
me.
before you go where you are, how people can find out a little bit more.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. So I'm just off the High Street on 7 Court Lane, which runs parallel to the High Street, and it runs off Otley Street and Newmarket Street. So at the minute, I'm open Wednesday to Sunday. I have Mondays and Tuesdays off. But yeah, come and find me, and either to buy, sell, trade, play, upstairs, whatever you want to do. Got it all.
Amazing. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. Been a pleasure to chat to you.
Thank you very
much. And thank you to the Skipton Beard, of course, as well, for setting up this podcast. And if you've got anything you want us to ask a next guest or get in touch, you can email radio@yourskipton.com. John, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Brilliant.